Welcome to today's explainer on postnatal depression, the silent battle many mothers face. If you've ever wondered how one of life's most beautiful chapters can suddenly become one of its most emotionally painful, well, this is for you. Imagine a woman named Sarah. For as long as she could remember, she imagined becoming a mother. She pictured that first smile, those tiny hands wrapped tightly around her finger, and of course, that overwhelming feeling of love everyone always talks about. And when that day finally arrived, it truly was beautiful. The moment she held her baby, literally nothing else seemed to matter. But just a few weeks later, something felt different. A silent battle began, one that stood in stark contrast to that idealized vision of motherhood she'd held onto for so long.
To everyone around her, Sarah looked like the picture-perfect, happy new mother. She smiled when family visited, she thanked everyone for their congratulations, and she posted photos that looked absolutely full of joy. And the thing is, she loved her baby deeply, way more than words could ever describe. But internally, she was consumed by guilt, and an exhaustion so deep she felt it even when she actually managed to catch a few hours of sleep. The haunting question playing on repeat in her mind wasn't whether she loved her child, but rather, why don't I feel like myself anymore?
Okay, let's dive into this hidden battle. Mothers like Sarah become absolute experts at projecting joy to their friends and family, acting as if everything is just perfectly fine. Yet behind closed doors, they're crying, and they have absolutely no idea why. They're fighting a battle that no one can see, completely hidden from the outside world.
So, what we're really exploring here is postnatal depression. And it is absolutely vital to clarify right up front that this hidden battle is a genuine mental health condition. It affects millions of women every single year. It is not simply a case of feeling a bit emotional after childbirth, and it is most certainly not a sign that someone is a bad mother. Not at all. It's a real medical and psychological condition that deserves our deep understanding and empathy, rather than the silence and shame it usually receives.
Yet so many mothers never talk about their struggle, and you have to ask why. Well, mostly because they believe they shouldn't be feeling this way. Society constantly repeats this expectation. These should be the happiest days of your life. When a mother's lived reality just doesn't match this persistent cultural narrative, she naturally begins blaming herself. She assumes she must be broken or lacking in some way, rather than recognizing that she's actually dealing with the health condition.
Let's move to expectation versus reality and see how this builds. We really need to look at the psychological breakdown of this massive gap between what mothers imagine their life will be like and what they actually experience in those early days and weeks. And this brilliantly illustrates those ideal expectations. Long before a baby is even born, mothers begin creating a detailed picture of the future. They carefully prepare for the arrival, right? Folding tiny clothes, decorating the nursery, reading all the books, and watching the videos. They anticipate a peaceful nursery, quiet late-night puddles, an instant deep connection, and moments just overflowing with pure happiness. They just want to be the best mother possible.
Now, what's really interesting here is how that idealized dream clashes with a very abrupt overnight reality. Because when the baby arrives, everything changes in an instant. Instead of pure peace, a mother is dealing with a physical body that is desperately trying to heal. Sleep is no longer a given. It becomes an absolute luxury. And instead of quiet, peaceful cuddles, there are constant cries demanding immediate attention. Every single decision suddenly feels incredibly, overwhelmingly important.
And in that incredibly high-pressure environment of pure exhaustion, the inner doubts begin, rapidly, frantically. Questions start popping up in the mother's mind. Am I feeding the baby enough? Is this the right amount?
Why won't the baby stop crying? What is wrong? What am I missing here? The pacing of these thoughts is just relentless. Every single cry amplifies the anxiety, demanding constant, unwavering attention from an already exhausted mind.
Am I doing something wrong? I want you to just sit with the immense emotional weight of that question for a second. It's a heavy, deeply misplaced guilt that settles over a mother who is trying her absolute best, yet feeling like she is failing at every single turn.
Which brings us to a heavy transition. Psychologists identify this exact space as the dangerous gap between expectation and reality. You see, when reality doesn't look the way we imagined it would, our minds naturally, almost automatically, search for an explanation for the struggle. We desperately want to know why it's so hard.
So, the crucial point is this. When searching for that explanation, many mothers reach the absolute wrong conclusion. They don't think, wow, this transition is incredibly difficult. Instead, they adopt a destructive thought. They tell themselves, I must be failing. But the empowering truth, the reality, they are not failing, not even a little bit.
Their minds are simply struggling under the immense weight of navigating one of the biggest physical, emotional, and psychological changes a human being can possibly experience.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer today and leaves us with a really critical question to reflect on. How would the experience of new mothers change if we just stopped demanding perfection and started acknowledging the true weight of this transition? Think about it. If we can shift our perspective, perhaps we can help mothers like Sarah step out of their silent battles and give them the true understanding and the grace they so desperately need during this profound chapter of life. Thank you so much for learning with us today.